Is inflation finally coming to an end? The answer might surprise you. As the global economy continues to recover from the effects of the pandemic, one of the most important questions on many people's minds is whether inflation is finally coming to an end. After all, inflation has been a major issue for many countries in recent years, with prices steadily rising and wages remaining stagnant. In this blog post, we'll explore the current state of inflation and discuss whether it is truly coming to an end. The answer might surprise you. To start off, what is inflation? Inflation is a sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. In other words, inflation is a measure of how much prices have gone up since the previous period. It is usually measured as a percentage change from the same period in the previous year. When the rate of inflation is high, it means that people are paying more for items than they were previously. The most common measure of inflation is the Consumer Price Index, CPI. This index is based on a basket of goods and services that represent what consumers typically purchase. The prices of these goods and services are then used to calculate the overall rate of inflation in the economy. Inflation can be caused by many factors, including changes in the money supply, government policies, increases in wages, and changes in the cost of production. Inflation can have both positive and negative effects on an economy. On the one hand, it can lead to increased spending power for consumers, which can stimulate economic growth. On the other hand, it can lead to higher prices for goods and services, which can make it difficult for people to afford necessary items. What causes inflation? Inflation is the sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. It is often caused by an increase in the money supply, but can also be caused by other factors. The main cause of inflation is an increase in the money supply in an economy. When the money supply increases, it becomes easier for people to buy goods and services, which leads to prices increasing. This is because there is more money chasing after fewer goods and services. Inflation can also be caused by an increase in demand for goods and services that is not matched by an increase in the available supply. This imbalance between demand and supply will push up prices, resulting in inflation. Government policies, such as increased taxes and tariffs, can also lead to inflation. These measures restrict economic activity, thereby reducing the supply of goods and services and increasing prices. Finally, inflation can also be caused by increases in the cost of production, such as higher wages or input prices. As businesses incur higher costs, they are forced to pass on some of these costs to consumers by increasing their prices, resulting in inflation. In conclusion, inflation is typically caused by an increase in the money supply, an imbalance between demand and supply, government policies, and increases in production costs. It is important to keep an eye on these factors to ensure that inflation remains within acceptable levels. How hyperinflation has affected the population recently. Inflation is a natural part of economics, but when it rises to extreme levels, it can have a significant impact on the population. Hyperinflation is when the rate of inflation reaches very high levels, and this has been a concern for many countries over the last few years. In North America, hyperinflation has had some serious implications for the population in recent times. One of the most visible effects of hyperinflation is a decrease in purchasing power. This means that individuals have less money to spend, which can lead to more economic problems in the future. Another significant effect of hyperinflation is an increase in poverty. As individuals are unable to purchase basic goods and services, they are unable to provide for themselves or their families. This can lead to an increase in homelessness and other issues, which can be very difficult to reverse. Hyperinflation can also cause an increase in crime. With fewer resources available, people may turn to crime as a way to make ends meet. This can lead to an increase in violence and other social issues, which can further destabilize the economy. Finally, hyperinflation can lead to a decrease in savings and investments. With money being worth less, people are less likely to invest or save, which can further destabilize the economy. This can create a downward spiral, where economic conditions get worse over time. Overall, hyperinflation has had some serious consequences for the population in recent times. It has led to an increase in poverty, crime, and other social issues, which can have a long-term effect on the economy. As such, it is important for governments to take steps to reduce inflation and ensure that people are able to maintain their purchasing power. How can inflation be controlled? Inflation can be controlled by government policies and central bank regulations. Governments can use a variety of tools to maintain a stable rate of inflation, such as 1. Fiscal policy. This involves using taxes and spending to affect the supply of money in the economy. Governments can increase taxes or reduce spending to slow down the growth of money in circulation, which reduces demand and consequently inflation. 2. Monetary policy. This involves manipulating interest rates and other banking regulations to influence the flow of money and credit in the economy. Central banks can raise interest rates to make borrowing more expensive, reducing the amount of money that is available for spending and controlling inflation. 3. Price controls. Governments can also impose price controls on some goods and services to prevent excessive inflation. This means setting a limit on how much businesses can charge for certain products, preventing them from increasing prices too quickly. 4. Currency exchange rate management. Governments can also manage their currency exchange rates in order to keep their prices competitive with other countries and protect their exports from being overpriced. By using these tools, governments can control inflation and ensure that their economies remain stable and prosperous. What is the outlook for inflation in the future? The outlook for inflation in North America for the year 2023 is uncertain. With global economic uncertainty and the potential for ongoing disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic, it is difficult to predict exactly what inflation will be like in the near future. That being said, most economists believe that inflation will be low throughout 2023. However, some experts are predicting that inflation could begin to pick up by the end of 2023 as consumer demand picks up and governments begin to reduce stimulus packages. This could lead to rising prices and potentially higher inflation rates. It is important to note that while inflation is expected to remain low in 2023, there are several factors that could affect this outlook. For example, if the world economy takes a downturn or if global trade tensions increase, then inflation could rise faster than expected. It is also possible that countries will begin to implement policies to combat inflation if it does start to increase. Ultimately, the outlook for inflation in 2023 for North America is uncertain and it will depend on a variety of factors. That being said, most experts believe that inflation will be relatively low over the course of the year and should not cause any major disruptions to the global economy. If you enjoyed this content, consider subscribing to our channel for more videos just like this, on personal finance and the state of our economy. Thanks for watching and we will see you again soon.